checking your knee in this case to make sure it stays straight. You don't want to get this sort of wobble factor going. Nice and easy. Maintain your leg straight. You can lock it in here. I usually like to take the belt behind my head rather than pulling here, which is good. I prefer to cross it to my left hand, take it all the way behind my head, and now, because notice how I'm arched up with my neck, I'm going to use my neck and back muscles to increase the stretch. Now remember, if you can stretch this much without bending your leg at all, when you can bend your leg, you can stretch all the way behind you. It's going to be very, very easy when you're allowed to lift your hips up, as obviously you are in a jiu-jitsu match. So when we're here, again, my left leg, I loop the foot, take it up around the ball of the feet. From here, my left hand is going to be in charge of monitoring my knee, making sure I'm not cheating. Now from here, all I'm doing is I'm going to be gripping, taking my right hand behind my head, and I'm going to be using my neck and back to increase the stretch. If you need to, you just shorten length. And continue to stretch. You can hold this stretch for longer than 10 seconds if you'd like, but basically the key is just nice and easy pressure, and then you can just go through and repeat a couple times. Our next step on this one is going to be the opposite motion. Once again, if you guys have ever ran track or anything like that, that's going to be a big stretch for you, and so is this one here. Another partner stretch, but you can do this on your own. I'm just going to be taking my knee, holding it to my chest, nice and easy. And now remember, I'm not trying to pull it downwards towards my chest. I'm really attempting to pull my knee upward towards my face. So here, I'm taking it up and closer and closer and closer to my shoulder. Nice and easy, and I'm going to hold. You can grab your foot if you like to increase the stretch, but typically all you need to do is lock around the knee. Nice and easy. Let it back out. Switch to the other stretch, and then go side to side. Again, I'm going to crisscross here. If you like, you can even practice a rear naked choke grip on top of your knee. When we're here, I come around, take my elbows together as if I'm doing a rear naked choke. I come back, and I stretch. This is actually going to be stretching out my thigh as well as my hip flexion. And those are going to be two basic stretches. They're going to make it very, very difficult for an opponent to stack you up and make you feel uncomfortable. All right, our next set of stretches are going to be focusing on knee and hip flexor flexibility. It's important that you go very, very carefully with your knees, particularly with your hips. It's a little bit easier. Your hips are big enough that you shouldn't be doing anything bad to them, even by accident for the most part. But your knees, you can easily hurt. I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not be pulling on your knees. I see this all the time at tournaments, people just wrenching on their knees. It's a bad, bad idea. You're going to do horrible things to your knees. Make sure that when you do these sort of things, one, you know what you're doing, so you're moving in an efficient and technical fashion. You're not just wrenching on your joints. Two, you need to have the flexibility required for these things. And three, you need to really work to develop the flexibility required for these things. So, in terms of being careful, when we're working on our knees, all we're going to be doing here is I can work this particular stretch in two ways. I'm going to take my left shin, and I'm going to place it behind my right knee. And now, nice and easy, remember, careful and nice and easy is the name of the game in this one. I'm gripping behind my knee and taking it towards my face. All I'm trying to do is I'm going to hold this stretch nice and easy. I am not interested in like wrenching my knees anywhere. I'm not pulling hard on my knee. I'm not doing that at all. When you pull hard on your foot, just imagine you're heel hooking someone. If you're trying to straight ankle someone, you don't straight ankle them up here. You straight ankle them down here. So now, when you're attempting to do that, when you start pulling on your foot, pulling on your knee like this, you are putting a lot of strain on your knee. You don't need to be stretching any of the ligaments out there like that, but it really is going to be causing you problems down the line. So make sure that when you're going for this, nice and easy, and just controlled pressure. If you need to, you can move your shin, you can move your knee. Like if you need to relieve the pressure, all you're going to do here is rather than placing your knee directly under your ankle, directly like under the ankle bone here, you can move it a little bit higher up your shin, and it's going to relieve a little bit of pressure, make it a little bit easier on your leg. So we're here, nice and easy, just nice and controlled. You're going to be stretching not only your outer thigh, but your knee as well. On the other side, same thing. Once again, this is going to be the sort of thing that's going to help you out for the flexibility that you're going to need to really play the rubber guard, different things like that. But I can't emphasize enough, you're not going to be playing that for very long if you injure your knee. In fact, you're not going to be doing jiu-jitsu for very long if you injure your knee. So make sure that you're nice and controlled when you're working through this stretch. All right, guys. Our next stretch is going to be working on our hip flexor. So when we're here, all I'm going to be doing is the base stretch here. Before you get into any sort of like the the Nino Schembri, BJ Penn sort of leg behind the head sort of thing, what we're going to be working on is hip flexor mobility. From here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to roll backwards. I'm going to place my elbows behind my knees, in the crooks of my knees. So from here, I'm going to sit forward, and I'm going to pull my elbows outward. Nice and easy. What this is doing, this is working your groin and hip flexor mobility, and it's going to help you out a lot. Because a lot of times when you start playing upside down and you start playing any of these weird guard positions, or any guard position for that matter, the goal is to put you beyond your normal range of flexibility. When I go through like a smash pass, when you try to smash pass your opponent and you have his leg locked up on your shoulder and you're tight and you're moving yourself in, it's really, really easy to pass someone who has limited flexibility because they run themselves out of range of motion very quickly. And as soon as they do that, you can sort of get that recoil action. You can push them beyond their active flexibility and boom, let it go, and their leg's going to snap back and you'll be able to pass relatively easily. However, when you're dealing with someone who has just that sort of like ungodly, ridiculous, BJ Penn, Nino Schembri type of flexibility, you can push their knee as far as you can, and they're just sitting there smiling at you, which is exactly what you like, which is exactly what this sort of stretch is going to be able to start to give you. So from here, nice and easy, elbows behind, extend, like just open your chest. You can rock side to side. We're here. And you're trying to take your legs not only outwards, but also backwards. Nice and easy. From here, you can grab your feet, pull them in. This is your basic stretch. To make it more extreme, all I'm just going to do is duck my shoulder in. And I'm taking my leg further back. And now the final step of this stretch is to take the leg all the way behind your head. And nice and easy. Once again, I am not wrenching on my knee to do this. This is not a knee flexibility sort of thing. When you can put your leg behind your head, it's not a knee flexibility thing whatsoever. I really need to emphasize that. The key here is hip flexor mobility, thigh, like elasticity in your thigh. So we're here. I'm just ducking my shoulder in, and you just hang out nice and easy. And then if you want to increase the stretch, you just extend. You start to lean your hips away from your body. Start to try to extend, like imagine I'm here and I'm extending my hip in the opposite direction. It's a little bit difficult to see, but the idea is I'm controlling my leg with the upper body, and now I'm going to try to extend my hip in the opposite direction. It works the exact same way with the other stretch here. Nice and easy, taking your leg behind your head. You have to work to it, but I promise you, I couldn't do any of that sort of thing before I really started working through this course, and it really made all the difference in the world. Now, something else, notice, I'm not really warmed up at the moment, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to stretch. It's going to be a lot easier for you to have a greater range of motion in your stretches when you are warmed up. So it is important to note that when you do stretch, it's important to warm up first. Try to break a sweat. If I'm sitting there stretching before, it's not wrong per se, but when you break a sweat before you warm up, when you break a sweat to warm up before you stretch, it really, really does make it easier on you. It's going to increase your range of motion, and it's also going to make it a safer thing. You should not be injuring yourself in your warm-up ever, but that's going to be a big help there. Jumping jacks, running around, break a sweat, then start getting into your flexibility routine. All right, guys, our next stretch is going to be a basic butterfly. There's really nothing too complicated, too crazy about this one. All we're doing is you're placing the soles of your feet together, and you're going to be leaning, attempting to touch your face to the mat. Nice and easy. You don't even have to suck your feet all the way in. You can if you like, all the same really. And you're just going to lean down. Your knees are going to be getting flat to the mat.